Hi, good afternoon, fourth graders. This is Mr. Steinberg. Today, what I'd like to do is try to demonstrate some a concept dealing with multiplication that actually uses some skills that we already learned with place value. So I know in this unit, I believe it's unit 4 in math, you are moving into multiplication, and I know in our live lessons, we've talked about different ways to learning and hopefully memorizing our multiplication facts. So that's still a skill that we're working on in fourth grade. And if you're not 100% comfortable or you don't have it committed to automatic memory yet, that's okay. But we can still multiply, and we'll just kind of practice and learn as we go. But one thing before we start is we have to remember when you're being asked to multiply a single digit by a number like that has a value of 10 or maybe a place value of 100 or 1000. It's the same thing as your multiplication facts. It just depends on which place value you are multiplying by. So for example, if we start with 10 times 7, over here, a lot of you already know, you know your multiplication fact, and you know that 10 times 7 is 70. Because basically what you're saying is you have the number 10 7 times. So what you would do is you take the number 10 and you would just add it 7 times. Or you are skip counting by 7, by tens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right there. That would be 70. Or you could skip count. You could go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and 70. Okay, so then what's the difference? What's the difference if you are moving up into the hundreds place value? Well, what you know about the hundreds, right? The hundreds is 10 times greater. It's 10 times greater than the tens place value because it takes 10 groups of 10 to make 100. So 100 is 10 times greater than the 10. So anytime you move up a place value, you add a zero. So then what would 100 times 8 look like? Well, if you're comfortable with your multiplication facts, you can probably figure out that, well, if I have the number 108 times, I get 800. So you'll notice over here, 70 has 1 0 because it's in the tens place value. And when over here multiply it by 100, there's 2 zeros because I'm in the hundreds place value. So I just basically added a 0. And if you're not sure about this, again, you could take the number 100 and you can add it to itself using repeated addition 8 times. Hope I can squeeze these in here. Starting to write smaller and smaller. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and one more. So there's the number 100 added 8 times. Or you could skip count 100, 200, like this. And you'll notice each time sorry, it's still 10 times greater than anything in the tens place value because there's another zero. And so then you just kind of follow the same pattern for the thousands. So we have the number 1000 3 times. So if I have the number 1000 3 times, I take 1000 plus 1000 plus 1000 more. Oops, that's supposed to be a plus. Sorry, let me make that neater. And if you didn't like repeated addition, you could always skip count. Just count by thousands. 1000, 2000, and then 3000. Like that. Okay, so now let's take a look. Let's change it up a little bit. We'll go down to the other row. So now instead of just multiplying by a straight 10, a 100, or a 1000, what does it look like if we have other numbers in the tens place value, other numbers in the hundreds, and other numbers in the thousands? So here we have 60 times 4. Let me bring this down just slightly. So what that means is I have the number 64 times. But one thing I want to point out, where you're going to start with a problem like this is you're going to look at the relationship between the 6 and the 4. Well, if you're comfortable with your multiplication facts, you remember that 6 times 4 is 24. So if you're multiplying by 60, what's the only difference, right? The only difference is here. You're just adding a 0. So you'll have 60 times 4, which will give you 240. Because you multiplied by a place value that's 10 times greater than the ones. See, in the ones place value, there are no zeros. In the tens place value, there's 1. So you have to have that 1 0 right there. And if you weren't comfortable, right, if you wanted to see it what it looks like with repeated addition, you take the number 60 and you just add it 4 times. So you go 60, 120, 180, 240. And then you could skip count. 60, 120, 180, 240. And if you're multiplying, right, if you want to go back and just multiply the 6 times the 4, 6 times 1, 6 times 2, 6 times 3, and 6 times 4. So that's how that one would work. So then the next one over here in the middle, we have 400 times 7. That means I have the number 400 7 times. But what I could do is I can start by remembering my multiplication fact. 4 times 7. Well, I remember that 4 times 7 is 28. So if I'm multiplying by 2 zeros down here, right, a number with 2 zeros, I just need to add 2 zeros. So 4 times 7 is going to be 28. And then I have my 2 zeros because it's 100 times. So it's the number 28, or the number 400 7 times, or the number 28 100 times. And then again, so I'll show you what it looks like with repeated addition. So we go 400 plus 400. Oh, let me write smaller so I can squeeze them in. That's 4, 5, 6. Oh, it just made it. All right. So 400, 800, 1,200, 1,600, 2,000, 2,400, 2,800. So you can just kind of skip count. 400, 800, 1,200, 1,600, 2,000, 2,400. Oh, that looks like a 9, sorry. And then finally 2,800. Those don't look like zeros. I have to do better. Okay. And you can find your multiplication fact. You go 4 times 1, 4 times 2, 4 times 3, 4 times 4, 4 times 5, 4 times 6, and 4 times 7, 28, just like we had up here. And so finally, the last one, you're going to start right here with 7 times 6. And I remember that 7 times 6 will equal 42. And how do I know that? If I take the number 7, right, it means I have the number 7 6 times, and we'll see what that looks like at the very end. So if I know that 7 times 6 is 42, how many zeros do I need? Well, I'm multiplying by a number in the thousands place value, so I need 3 zeros. So let's see, I have the number 7,000 6 times. Let's see if I can squeeze in 7,000 6 times. I think I can. I need a comma. Plus 7,000, that's 5. Plus 7,000, that's going to be 42,000. And so we go 7,000 and 7,000, that's 14,000, 21,000, 28,000, 35,000, 42,000. And you can count it off. 7,000 times 1, 7,000 times 2, 7,000 times 3, times 4, times 5, and then finally times 6. And here are the multiplication facts when you talk about 7 times 6. The number 7, 6 times, so 7 times 1, times 2, times 3 times 4 times 5 times 6. Okay, so if anybody has any questions about how to multiply numbers by like anything in the tens place value, the hundreds or the thousands, just remember you can always reach out, and what you want to remember is the tens place value is 10 times greater than the ones. The hundreds place value is 10 times greater than the tens, and the thousands is 10 times greater than the hundred. So anytime you multiply by the next place value, you just need to add a zero each time, and you should be good. Okay, thank you everybody. Take care. Reach out for help.